This is the Ecwid e-commerce show with your host, Jesse Ness, along with Richard O'Tay.
What's going on, Richard?
I'm excited. You know me, I get excited every week, but
Not just because it's Friday, but because it's Podcast Friday.
Yeah, it's Podcast Friday, and plus this is an important one.
It is. We talked about a lot of topics on the podcast here, and then we're kind of skipping one of the really important ones. It's really one of the last pieces of the puzzle. It's the shipping piece.
Yeah, I mean, that means you actually sold something, right? You're usually not sending one of those packages out until you got paid.
Yeah, you've listened to all the podcasts, and now you're selling so much. Shipping has become a problem, and so we're here to help with you.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to hear from our guest today too, because I got started pretty early doing eBay, but it was mostly baseball cards, everything the same shape, the same size. I could have 5,000 of them in one box and not a lot to deal with.
Yep.
Same package every single time, same shape every time. And, I want to know more about why not USPS? Why not just the post office? Everybody knows the post office. Like, kind of why ShipStation? What is ShipStation? So I'm excited. Let's introduce our guest.
I hear you, Rich. I am not the guy for that, though. Let's bring on our guest, Cody DeArmond from ShipStation. Cody, how are you?
Hey, guys. Great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So what is your title at ShipStation?
Yeah, I'm the director of sales here. So my team is fortunate enough to help get people up and running. So we see, businesses that are just getting started, businesses that are scaling, hit a pain point, somebody that just went on Shark Tank and got a pop of orders. They need help getting the stuff out the door. So we're here to hopefully be their experts.
Awesome. So for people that haven't heard of it before, what is ShipStation?
Sure. ShipStation is the most popular way for e-commerce merchants to create labels, get their orders out the door. So our merchants will connect their Ecwid to ShipStation account, maybe alongside their eBay stores, their Amazon channels, so they can have all their orders in one place, create labels really quickly from all the carriers that they want, and get those orders out the door. So it sounds pretty cut and dry shipping software. I think my parents, when I go home for the holidays, maybe think that I drive a UPS truck or something along those lines. But it's pretty cool. We get a front row seat to, tens of thousands of entrepreneurs every day. So that's why I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, very cool. I know. And so you mentioned some of the people that are shipping from different channels. And I think that makes a lot of sense because, when people get started, like we do have a lot of people that are getting started on this show. And, if you're shipping one package a day, you could probably handle that. You can go to the post office and you go pay the price and you put a label on and you go about your day. But people hit a certain point. Like for some people, it might be 5 packages a day. Some it might be 10, or if it's 3 packages from your Ecwid store and 5 from Amazon, and then you got Etsy, and eventually you start pulling out your hair because it is painful, really. So sounds like you help manage all that pain and bring all the shipping into one place.
Yeah, for sure. So, what we see today in e-com is that it's, less frequent that someone's just driving all of their sales from one place. Most of the merchants that we're working with, they're trying different things. They're experimenting with new channels, and they don't want to, list somewhere new and then add that to the list of things that they have to do every day, check that channel every day, copy and paste addresses. So most of the merchants we work with, they see orders coming in from all different places, but instead of having to remember, they log into these 6 different places every day. They really just want one central hub. They want this to kind of be an afterthought. They want us to take care of it because, everybody starts their business because they're really excited about this idea or this product that they came up with. Nobody really started a business because they're excited about shipping. So we're here to hopefully take that part of the process off their plate so they can focus more on the more exciting parts of the business.
Can we make shipping exciting somehow, Rich? What do you think?
Yeah, when you see a bunch of the orders go through, that's when it becomes
Okay,
exciting.
all right, yeah.
So, but a little bit back to Jesse's. At what point do you see ShipStation being a solution? Is there, you recommend doing it the traditional USPS until they get to a certain amount? Is it benefit them to start right out of the gate? Like, where's the sweet spot for you guys?
Yeah, sure. Great question. That's what's kind of cool about what we get to do is that we see people at all different stages, right? So for some people, it's just they started a business, they're excited about it, but they don't know what they don't know, right? Nobody going into it knows a ton about shipping unless you just have that very specific background. So some people will sign up from the jump, maybe before they're even taking in orders because they like the comfort of having, an expert kind of in their hip pocket. For other people, it's kind of what you mentioned. They've got an established business, but they may be doing one label at a time, or they've still been going driving actually down to the physical post office every day, and we'll have the conversation of like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize I could do it this way. You guys just saved me 2 hours of kind of boring, tedious work every day. So typically one of those two tipping points, somebody that's either starting a business and really kind of likes having the expertise and obviously the time savings, or somebody that's in a rapidly growing business and they're looking for a way to obviously cut down a little bit on cost, but more than anything, streamline the process so they're not just spending a huge chunk of their day copying and pasting, printing out one label at a time, doing this really boring stuff that nobody wants to spend time doing.
Yeah, I've cut and pasted a lot in my day and printed out labels at my computer, and then I have 4 boxes that I'm bringing over to FedEx or USPS, and I'm like, man, I wish I would have taped that label to the top of this box, because I don't know which label goes with what box now. Like it can be kind of painful, and like, yeah, you've already gotten paid. So as a merchant, you're like, you've already gotten the money. This is just kind of your last step to make sure you deliver the product and make sure the customer isn't mad. But it's super important. I mean,
yeah, and we at Ecwid, there's a lot of people who are just getting started, and there's also people who have scaled and have $1 million plus businesses. So one of the things we love about doing, one of the things we love talking about on this show, I should say, is origin story, like where people started, why they got started, how they got started. Because as you even alluded to, it's like not the most sexy business. How did it get started, and what was there a vision to grow it to all the multi-channels? So give us a little background on that.
Yeah, sure. It was really interesting hearing you talking about your start on eBay, because we were actually kind of the same way. So 2 really brilliant guys here in Austin, Texas, Byron Weir and Jason Hodges, just really, really intelligent developers. They wrote a program in the 2000s. It was actually called Octane. It was a shipping solution for eBay power sellers. And a lot of their clients were saying, hey, we love this. It makes it so much easier for us to ship out on eBay, but eBay's, half of my sales, or I also list on Amazon, or, I have 3 of my own websites. Can you guys make this for that? And the light bulb kind of went off, and they said, okay, yeah, we see the direction this is headed. Maybe we shouldn't just focus exclusively on eBay. So they started writing integrations. Now at this point, we connect with over 100 different places that people sell online. So that was kind of where we came from, built something that made eBay power sellers' lives a lot easier. And then the light bulb went off, and now we try and do the same thing for everybody, regardless of where they're selling.
Yeah, and I've heard of ShipStation many times. I've been to a lot of e-commerce conferences, and you guys have built a great following, like really good reviews from customers. So, very happy to talk to you and introduce you to, Ecwid merchants that are listening. So, and I think something you mentioned there that I wanted to point out or dig into is that, it's not just printing labels. It's also all these orders that come in from different places all go to the one place now. So, like if you have an eBay store, you got an email somewhere and you have a notification, but if you don't log into all these different places, you might forget about I sold that one on Etsy. I got to log in there and do this. But so this brings it all to one central location. So a merchant can see all the orders from all the different places. Is that the way? Is that correct?
Yeah, you nailed it. So we wrote integrations to, again, pretty much anywhere that somebody wants to sell online these days. An integration, it doesn't require any technical work or anything like that. You essentially plug in your credentials into ShipStation, and that connection is made. So at that point, customer checks out, that order automatically shows up in ShipStation. If you want to try out a new channel, you want to list somewhere new, maybe you're spinning off a new website. It doesn't mean that you have to spend extra time logging into these different places. You've got it all centralized. You log into ShipStation, see all of your orders that are ready to go out the door that day, regardless of where they came from. So yeah, definitely cuts down on the headache on that side of things, and kind of frees our merchants up, because we typically see people driving increased sales when they start to list in varied channels, and so kind of frees people up to do that.
Yeah, and I think it's when you think of these other channels, you think of the sales, you forget about all the hassles that are going to come through with like, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna have to log in there all the time and have to check that and click their little boxes and do that. So, I think it's nice that it can go into one central location. And I think also from that central location, maybe people aren't aware of this, but the rate is not the same from all the different carriers. And, to be able to check that is kind of painful as well. So are you able to connect with all the different carriers? Like, if for US, that would be FedEx, UPS, and USPS, and others internationally. Like, does ShipStation have all those connections already ready to go and labels ready to print?
Yeah, you nailed it. So kind of the same process that I just described, connecting your channels, works very similarly with carriers. So we connect with more carriers than anyone in our space at this point, going on close to 50 different providers. So you nailed it. In the US, obviously, kind of the big three are going to be the post office, UPS, and FedEx. So if you have your own account with those, you can just plug it into ShipStation, type in that account number, and then it automatically pulls it in. What we find is that, the carriers, they're obviously really good at getting your package to where it needs to go, but it's obvious that they're carriers first and not necessarily a software company like we are. So we'll see a lot of people that maybe are tired of jumping back and forth between UPS World Ship and FedEx Ship Manager and then going to the physical post office. And so they replace all of that with our one system. And for the growing merchants, like you mentioned, maybe they don't have any relationships with those carriers and this is all brand new to them, and the process of trying to negotiate a rate with FedEx or UPS just seems like this really daunting task. Well, we're set up for that too. They can just start the account through us with some pre-negotiated rates. So take that headache, kind of that scary part of getting all set up out of it. So narrowed down to where somebody really could, take an online sale, have all of this established, create a label, get it out the door in 5-10 minutes or so.
Yeah. I'll throw in a little hot tip for anybody out there that's listening. Hey, FYI, if you go walk into a FedEx Kinko's, the rate that they charge you is not the rate that other people pay. So just, there are better deals out there. Everybody has a better deal. Usually you need to hit a certain amount of minimum. So if you can get access to those rates right off the bat, that helps you. This is margin that goes directly in your pocket. So
yeah, for sure. And you nailed it. And we're not a carrier, we don't step in front of those or anything like that. So we're not collecting on that front. We're a software, we're a technology company. And what some people aren't aware of there is that having your own account with a carrier, even if you're a small business and you're growing, that's actually pretty important, because as your business grows, you're going to aggregate that volume on that account. And then now that account belongs to you, right? So even if you set up, FedEx or USPS through us, that account's yours. You just have it plugged into us. So, we want you using ShipStation for a long time and happy with it. But if, you ever need to do anything outside of your provider, you want to make sure that account belongs to you, because as your business grows, all of the orders, all the shipments that have gone through that account, that's leverage for you to go back to the carriers and say, hey, FedEx, hey, UPS, I got a growing business here. Cut me some slack. What can you do for me? Kind of help them compete against each other for your benefit. Because yeah, you nailed it. If you're just walking into the store, frankly, you're leaving money on the table every time you do that.
Yep. And the carriers can do a lot for you too. You do have to hit minimums. There's certain things that other people can ship that you can't. And there's a lot of little a lot of things you can get from the carriers, but they don't care unless they see you've spent a bunch of money with them. So it is very important. I think also the ability so that's if you want to kind of keep all your shipments with one carrier, but maybe you just want to spend the least amount of money on that particular shipment. And, so would you have the ability okay, I have this shipment, it's going to go out, I'm in San Diego, there's different prices in different regions from different carriers, right? So can you, as I'm a merchant, I see my orders, can I choose which carrier based on the price, or how would that work?
Yeah, you nailed it. So as many different carriers you have plugged into ShipStation, you're going to be able to compare all of those options, right? So just like you mentioned, so you've got an order, it comes in, you can hit what we call our rate calculator. It's going to give you on one screen, options for basically all your carriers there in one place. And so you can see, okay, great. Hey, this option is going to get it there in 3 days, and it's going to cost me X. I've got this option, maybe a little slower, but cheaper. So you can make those informed decisions as opposed to just, taking it to the post office and say, hey, ship this for me. And you can also take that one step further. We see a lot of people as they're getting started, if they're less familiar, they'll use that to kind of compare and see what their best options are. But then once you've got that locked in, you really shouldn't have to spend a lot of time looking at it. As the orders start to flow in the door, figure out what that best case is for your business, whether that's, speed or just trying to get it there as inexpensively as possible, and then just automate that, right? So you can build in a business rule for you that says, hey, this product, I've figured out that USPS priority is my best bet. Let's just go ahead and automatically ship that. So instead of, spending time making judgment calls, looking at individual orders, you could log in, hit select all, click print if you want to, and, your fulfillment part of the day is done.
Oh, I like that. So what other kind of rules can you set up? Hey, anything that's overnight goes this way, or any product goes this particular ship method, or how flexible are those rules?
Yeah, sure. So it's something I kind of nerd out on, but you see people get really, really creative with it, right? So it could be something like you mentioned, just, hey, always ship this thing this way. But what's cool is that since we're integrated with wherever you're selling, that means we're pulling in that order data as well. So pretty much anything that makes sense for your business, you can automate off of. So if that's, what kind of shipping the customer selected at checkout, if that's, a certain SKU should go a certain way. You can even take the automation rules and say, hey, if this is a high value order, say I got an order that's over $500, I want to trigger a specific email notification that thanks them for their order and gives them, 10% off their next purchase, something along those lines. So pretty much any common thread in your business that you can come up with, we should have a way to automate that, whether it's, something as simple as assigning the right carrier or, getting really in the minutia of sending specific messaging or assigning it to a specific person in the warehouse.
Got it. Now, I could probably nerd out on this as well. Like I appreciate that. So I'll only ask one more in-depth question. Try to, Rich, pull me back here so I don't get crazy.
Sexy?
Yeah, we're gonna make shipping sexy today. All right. So what if your products are not all in the same location? Like, does this have the ability to maybe you have some at an Amazon warehouse, or you have some that a different wholesaler has this product? Like, can you set up rules so that it could ship from multiple locations, different locations, etc.?
Yeah, for sure. You teed that one up for me. That's nice. Yeah, we have some ShipStation accounts that may use a single account to run, a couple dozen different locations. So that's really commonplace. That's no problem there. Just establish those locations within ShipStation. You could automatically delegate orders to specific places. You touched on the fulfillment providers. We even have some merchants that'll just set it up to automatically feed, like, hey, these SKUs automatically get fulfilled by, my provider. When they come in, just go ahead and automatically fire that off so they can really be, hands off. I've got a couple clients that really don't touch much of their product at all. They just have this all set up to kind of run itself. So pretty good gig there. You just get an order and it automatically gets taken care of. So yeah, we see it all across the spectrum. But yeah, I would say on average, we definitely have merchants that are running more than one locations in an account.
Got it. Okay. No, that's awesome, because I think that is, most e-commerce platforms are kind of set up with the idea that inventory is in one location, usually at the location listed on the account. And when you get a little bit more complicated in that, like, that is usually where order management software, ShipStation, things like that becomes a necessity, because it gets complicated and you have to build in these rules. So awesome to hear that you guys are solving that, because it can be painful for people.
Yeah, we'll even see some people on that front that they may have the same product in stock in a couple different locations. They may set up their account to automatically delegate that order to the location that's closest to the recipient, right? Because they may be using the same service for each of those two shipments. But if I'm here in Texas and they've got a warehouse that's right down the street, well, that shipment's going to get to me a lot faster and probably even cheaper. So they may set it up that way as well. Hey, if it's closest to this location, go ahead and automatically assign it there. So yeah, you can get really in depth with it, but at the end of the day, obviously just trying to save some money and save a lot of time.
Okay.
So it sounds as if it's easy once it's all set up, and it might not be too challenging to set up, but you're going to, reading between the lines here, they're going to have to come up with the fixed price for the customer that shipping is going to be, right? We can check and say, oh, it's a little cheaper over here. You run it and you find out you'd rather ship it from this location, get your margin back, like you guys are alluding to. But there'd be just a little bit of extra setup in the beginning, right? You'd kind of have, this is what it's going to be charged based on these rules in your e-commerce provider or, marketplace or wherever, and then separate rules in ShipStation, or do you set all that up in ShipStation?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So we have a lot of conversations around basically pricing strategy when it comes to shipping in the cart, right? So we give them the tools to make an informed decision there, right? So you could run hypothetical shipments through your account. You don't have to wait on an order to come through and then get surprised by how much you're going to pay for it. So a lot of merchants will put this in place. They'll start running some hypothetical orders through the system, get an idea that, okay, hey, on average, this is going to cost me, $575 to ship out. Of course, for cart conversion purposes, if you can offer free shipping, obviously at the end of the day, that's going to be best for your sales, right? Who doesn't love that? We know, especially for growing merchants, newer merchants, maybe that seems a little scary. But what we recommend on that front, what we educate, is that a lot of people when they're getting started, they just have this idea that, like, hey, customer needs to pay me exactly what I pay the carrier. You can really get more creative than that, right? Because we just see it's all psychological, right? I know I'm the exact same way. I may have, $200 worth of stuff in my cart, and then I get to the very end and I get surprised with, like an $8.25 shipping charge that I wasn't expecting, and I just abandoned the whole thing because I feel like somebody tried to pull one over on me, right? So most of our merchants, free shipping when possible. If not, they're using our data to make informed decisions about setting flat rate shipping and just being upfront, maybe even using that as a marketing tool. Hey, place X dollars worth of orders and we'll give you free shipping, or we'll give you, flat rate $5 shipping. And then in turn, we're going to get that data in with the order, right? So a lot of our merchants may say, hey, if it's a free shipping order, let's just get that out the door as inexpensively as possible, because, we know the customer's happy, they got free shipping. They're not too concerned about it being here, day after tomorrow. The other hand, if somebody paid extra for expedited shipping, let's go ahead and automatically assign out, Priority Mail Express or FedEx 2-day or whatever the case may be, so that, kind of customer expectations are met. And then obviously, whenever possible, you're getting that out the door with as much margin intact as possible. So yeah, two-way street there. They use our information to make informed choices to set up their cart, and then we read that information back and automate off of it.
That's great.
Love it. Good question, Rich. I forgot about that one. I'm on the, always go free shipping if you can, and then try to set, don't get crazy on shipping is kind of my philosophy on that. So yeah, I mean, just don't try to charge to the penny. It'll just you'll pull your hair out to be frustrating.
Well, I mean, we've been trained too by that big company, free everything shipping, right? It's like,
sure.
Price it into your product when possible.
Yep. I liked the advice there, Cody, as well about for new merchants. People, you don't really know what it's going to cost. Don't just go to, don't go to FedEx and UPS and all that. Just plug it into ShipStation. You can use a free trial, try all these different hypotheses, and then maybe that will inform you what your shipping price is. And yeah, you don't want to go free shipping on if you sell a $10 product, right? Let's not be crazy, but okay, now if you sell a $10 product, does it cost you, how much does it cost you to ship? And you can kind of decide whether to include shipping or build that into the price of the product. My recommendation. But
anyway. I mean, Cody was even mentioning that earlier, try to offer it whenever possible, right? So he said it's all psychological, and it, for the most part, is, right? How many times I've literally paid more for a product and got free shipping than I would have if I'd have just paid the least for the product and had to pay for shipping. It happens all the time.
Yeah. I hear you. Yeah. We're just trying to help people. All right. Just try to go free or some sort of free-ish shipping. So maybe they meet a minimum. So that's good. Well, Cody, what about, for international shipping? We kind of talked mostly about the U.S. because we're all happen to be in the U.S., but there's a lot of people listening that are overseas or want to know about cross-border. What can you do to provide, solutions there?
Yeah, sure. So what we see there most frequently is that it seems like this big, scary thing, right? So a lot of the newer growing merchants that I'm working with, they maybe just forego it altogether. And we really try and educate that, hey, if you're closing that part of your business off, you're leaving sales on the table, because international shipping really is not that much scarier than doing domestic, right? So the first thing that probably comes to people's mind is, hey, is this going to cost a lot more? And what do I do with customs? Coming into new business, a lot of people have no idea or no background when it comes to customs. They think it's this really scary thing that they're going to have to go and fill out by hand every time they want to ship something out of the country. Really not the case. With tools that are out there now, like ShipStation, you could really just run your international shipments similar to how you do domestic. Obviously, it's going to be different services, USPS International versus just, first class mail, things along those lines. But set it up, use a tool that can automate that for you. So that's what we do. We automatically generate customs forms and even electronically transmit them whenever it's applicable, automatically sign it. So, anything that you find yourself just doing manually or repetitively over and over, I promise there's a way to automate it out there today. So, one, basically don't be afraid, because it's not that bad. And then two, find a tool that'll do it for you. because, most of my clients that I work with that are shipping internationally, they really don't even know much of the difference. They log in, right? They see, okay, cool, I've got these, 10, 20, 200 orders that need to go out the door here. They're typically a mix of domestic and international. They'll hit select all and they'll click create label to have all of those go out at the same time. They don't even really have to handle them differently if they've set it up correctly. So I promise, not that scary.
Wow. No, good to hear. Yeah, I'm a little afraid of international shipments personally. So hopefully I can get over that fear because, yeah, there's customs and there's duties. And, I've talked to customers that have bought from me internationally. And I'm like, well, yeah, there might be some customs that you have to pay. I don't know. Good luck with that has been my answer. That's probably not a very good answer. I actually don't know why I didn't check you guys out on that one because that would have made some sense. So. Sure. All right. Note to self for real.
So you can learn something new every day.
Yeah. Hey, I'll learn something new. I'm happy. All right. So we talked about international. Like, what about for another thing for new merchants? Returns can be kind of a painful thing. You're afraid of it. What kind of assistance can you guys provide for new merchants with returns?
Yeah, sure. That's another one that we have a lot of conversations around. And same thing, right? It seems like this really scary thing. It just seems like sunk costs. You did all this work, you got the sale, you got it out the door, and now it almost feels like a personal insult, right? They're sending it back to you. So it's tough to take a higher view approach of it. What we're really trying to educate on, what we ran the data on, interestingly enough, is that merchants that provide a really good customer experience when it comes to the returns process actually see an uptick in sales with those same customers over 1 and 2 year period. So I know, especially when you're a growing business, that every dollar definitely counts, and you can definitely feel that pain if you fought really hard and you got 10 orders out the door and 2 of them are going to come back. You feel like you're really just taking that one on the chin. But there are a lot of different ways to go about it, and we're really trying to educate that it's really an investment in future sales, not just an expense for you that you're going to eat. So a lot of different approaches. Every business is different, but we've got really 3 main ways. We see some merchants that kind of take the Warby Parker approach, and they include a prepaid return label with every box. So if they want to set it up that way, they can have that totally automated. They create an outgoing label, and a return label just spits out with it. They put it in the box with no extra effort. So definitely a popular approach, but also not for everybody. And kind of in the middle ground that we see is that some people, they do want to offer returns, but they want to talk to the customer first. That works, no problem. Make it really easy to pull up that order and create a return label. Only thing we see there is that as the business scales, that starts to become a bit of a headache, right? Are you adding headcount just for customer service to field these calls? What are your hours? Is it going to be a good customer experience if they need to get in touch with you and you're closed? So what we came up with, and what's been one of our most popular new features over the last couple of years, is what we call self-service returns. And so you keep it a really consistent experience, make it a really good experience for the customer. So instead of you having to field that call, look up that order, create a return label, send it to them, that whole process. We just have a really simple landing page, your logo, your business's social media, all of that really consistent branding there. Customer just plugs in their order number, validates it, and they're able to generate a return label there without having to hassle you, without having to reach out to you. You can set rules, of course, around that. Maybe you accept it for 7 days or 14 days or 30 days, whatever makes sense for your business. So you still have that control. But then what's really nice is it actually includes reporting, right? So I hit this link, I generate my return label, but then it asks, like, hey, why are you returning this? What items out of this order are you returning? And so instead of just, paying for that return label and losing that sale, you're actually getting some valuable data. So a lot of my clients might see that, hey, we pretty consistently see that this particular SKU is getting returned for being the wrong size, or like this particular product keeps on getting returned for being defective. Maybe I need to take that information to my manufacturer and see what's going on. So it gives a lot more insight to the process. At the end of the day, it's all about customer experience, because that's what's going to determine whether or not somebody comes back to you the next time or the next time.
Yeah. You're also saving that phone call too. I like that, yeah, I get it. As a merchant, like when people want to return stuff, you're like, I already spent that money and I already paid for the advertising to get that sale. And now I got to pay to ship this back to me and sell it again, man.
Yeah.
So yeah.
really niche story there, but on that front, we heard from a lot of our clients, especially in the earlier days, that they kept getting a ton of customer service phone calls when the tracking email goes out that, hey, your order is shipped, here's your tracking information, because we do that too automatically. And customer clicked that link because the label was created, but then they didn't see any movement on it, right? And people freak out. They want their stuff. So they're calling, hey, you sent me a tracking number and it's broken. What's going on? What's going on? Which that, I mean, for a business, that's just a total waste of time, right? Like that's not doing anything for you. So you can even specify that fires off on a delay so that when they get that tracking number, there's actually some movement on it. So just little things like that people maybe don't put much thought into when they're starting their business. Again, we're here to hopefully kind of be the experts and educate on that a little bit, because there are all these little kind of tips and tricks that don't seem like much when you're going into the business, but they really start to add up to, time savings, monetary savings, but then ultimately, repeat sales is what you're trying to get out of this. So, shipping seems kind of like cut and dry, but there are a lot of different parts of the process you can kind of leverage to hopefully continue growing the business.
Yeah. I was going to say that's a great point. It kind of goes back to that psychological comment from earlier. The only ways that I've seen a business grow is either get more customers, get a higher average order per customer, and or get those customers to come back and buy more, right? I haven't really seen another way to do that yet. Now, obviously, if they have a good customer experience, to your point, now they're potentially sharing it with their friends and they're doing it. I've seen some interesting stats come out lately. I don't have them exactly off the top of my head, but I've seen sometimes increasing the length of time for the return actually makes returns go down. So if you're saying, for instance, in your 7, 14 day, however many day, and then you make it be 6 months, if I just think of it from a psychological standpoint, you'd think, oh no, giving them 6 months, but it might be, if you're saying 7 or 14 days, they might really be thinking about, should I return this? Should I return this? They're thinking of it because it's at that limited time. They get 6 months. They're probably like, by the time they get to the 5th month, they're like, no, I like it. I keep it. And again, I don't have the exact stats, but I've seen that actually a lot of companies, Zappos was one that was listed, just making sure that customer had a great experience. They want to share it more. They want to come back with you more. They want to just buy more from you overall in the long haul. And that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah, you nailed it. And what's really interesting there, we actually did run some stats on this. So obviously what you said is spot on about trying to get that repeat customer, right? Because, that's basically the most engaged prospect that you're going to get, somebody that's already, decided they like you enough to buy something from you there. But what we found is that a lot of merchants were throwing away the most guaranteed piece of traffic they could get, right? And it's the tracking email itself. So think about it. Last time you bought something online, how many times have you ignored that tracking email? I'm going to say never, because I'm going to say you're all like me. You get that tracking link, you click on it right away, and you click on it 4 times before that box actually shows up at your door. We ran the data, and everybody is the same way. The engagement on your tracking email is over 100%. On average, people are clicking that more than once before it gets there. But then what we found is that merchants were getting opens on that email, which is great. But then what happens? The customer clicks that tracking link, and then it opens up a new tab and takes them over to UPS.com or takes them to FedEx.com, right? Which is fine. It gets the recipient their information, but that didn't really just do anything for you, the merchant, right? You just kind of handed this traffic off to this, old kind of dated carrier site. So we actually turn that into a way to drive traffic back to your site. So customer can get the same tracking updates, but it'll take them to a page with your branding, your logo, links to your social media, links to your website, all of that. So again, just small things like that kind of seem like an afterthought, but really add up. You did all that work to get that engaged customer. Why would you just throw that traffic away to another company at that point? So little things like that, we try and educate on.
Yeah, I love it. I get it. Like, it kind of seems like a small thing, but there could be hundreds of clicks per week that are, now they're looking at some FedEx screen and just complaining about their package. But if it were your site with your little special deal or a little social media contest of some sort, like, you're branding for free.
Yeah. I'm not going to guarantee that this, branded tracking page is going to drive your sales through the roof, but I am going to guarantee that you're going to get more sales out of a page that's linked to your site and your social media than you are from UPS.com.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's all just a series of little things that make the difference. So that's awesome. So Cody, it seems like you've talked to a lot of different merchants. You've seen a lot of different stores. Is there any tips or advice you could have for growing merchants that are, in any area?
Yeah, for sure. Again, it's don't be afraid of what you don't know, because you don't have to be the expert on this stuff. Your job is to be the expert on your business and your customer experience. So look for tools out there that can automate all of this. My kind of rule of thumb is that if you spend time of your day doing anything repetitively, you probably shouldn't be, right? If you're doing something manually over and over, whether that's copying and pasting tracking numbers or logging into different sites, anything that takes a chunk of your day, look for a way to automate that, whether that's shipping or otherwise. But obviously in our world, we're thinking around how can you streamline the process of the point customer checks out to the point they get that box on their door. So if you're spending more time on that, which pretty much means, are you spending any time on that? Because nobody wants to be spending time on shipping. Look for a tool that can cut that time down, because you want to be spending time growing your business, getting the word out about your next product or coming up with your next campaign. You don't want to be spending time copying and pasting addresses back and forth all day, every day. So look for ways to cut the boring parts out of your day so you can spend more time doing what you actually want to be doing.
Perfect. Yeah. Rich, any last questions here before we?
No, just, I guess, where can customers go to learn more about you?
Yep, for sure. So we make it really easy to get started. ShipStation.com. We're all here in Austin, Texas. There'll be a link at the top to try it free. It just takes an email address. You can do everything that we talked about today. So even if you're just getting started and you want some expertise when it comes to shipping, start that account. Somebody from my team will give you a call. We'll walk you through everything, teach you what we know to hopefully get you up to speed. For today, we actually set it up to where if somebody does sign up for ShipStation, they like it, they can use code Ecwid19 at sign up. It'll give them an extra free month. So again, whether you're a new business that's getting started or you're a business that's seen a lot of growth and now things are just kind of crazy, check it out. I think we can save you some time. But yeah, ShipStation.com, hit that link at the top to try it free. We'd love to talk to you.
All right. And so guys, that code was Ecwid19. And so for Ecwid users as well, you can find ShipStation through the Ecwid app market as well. So you can connect the stores and get started. Man, sounds great. I mean, if you're cutting and pasting, looking to save some money on shipping or a ton of other things, this seems like a perfect place to go and check it out. So Cody, really appreciate you being on the show. Rich, any last questions?
No, that's it.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Cody.
All right, guys. Get out there and make it happen.
Enjoyed it. Appreciate it.